Startups are the future. We need a lot of alignment in our goals, and the consumer is demanding it.
Sumit, thank you so much for being here with us. After 3 decades of work in big corporates like PwC, now your current role as an investor in startups and as an important part of this ecosystem, why startups now?
Because startups are the future. I really feel the amount of alignment that we get with startups is incredible. Corporates are, I would say, in many cases, you probably have functions working at cross purposes. You need collaboration. You need to be united by a shared purpose. And that's what you get with startups. They're aligned, they're hungry, they're ambitious, and you can actually see results. And we can see that in front of us. All the unicorns that we've seen in India, all the kind of amazing innovation that are happening, they're happening with startups. And that's what I see, really encouraging and in some ways exciting to be part of that ecosystem, to be able to contribute meaningfully towards that.
So, you have been a seasoned healthcare professional, you have done a lot in that industry, and now you're concentrating on technology as well. How do you see technology playing out in the healthcare and wellness startup ecosystem?
I think it's absolutely imperative that we use technology in healthcare and wellness, because clearly speaking, in many ways, healthcare has been left behind. If you look at some sectors, we've seen telecom, we've seen e-commerce, retail. Many of the sectors have actually embraced technology, even banking for that matter. But healthcare, which is so important, and I think the importance of this came through so starkly in COVID.
Yes.
If we probably had standards, if we probably had much better interoperability between healthcare organizations, we could have probably navigated COVID much faster. And that's where I see technology playing a big role. Technology helps us scale. It becomes so much more important to then quickly replicate the same template in various geographies. And I think today the name of the game is prevention. It's not actually going to hospital and get admitted in the ICU. You need to be able to prevent than cure.
Yeah.
And that's what I think wellness, again, led by technology, could do. So I would just say that from our perspective, it is important to have a very good marriage of people, process, and technology in healthcare and wellness. And that's what, some of us are trying to do.
You rightly said, when it comes to technology, when it comes to embracing transformation, when it comes to developing healthcare, digital, the entire aspect of technology, UAE stands out. And all that work is happening in UAE in this particular domain. How do you think that is evolving, and is that quantifiable?
I think it is quantifiable. And I must say, why UAE is becoming such an amazing cog in the wheel, such an amazing, kind of in a way spot hub for this, is because of the incredible vision that the leadership team has. Of course, its strategic location. Of course, the dynamism that we actually have, in this place with so many people coming over with great ideas and all of that. But the leadership, the vision is so important. Along with that, if we basically prepare a good environment, a good ecosystem, which forums like Startup Middle East is trying to do, becomes amazing. And that's what we need. A combination of these things to come together, to connecting the dots, and then giving a platform to the startups to basically touch the skies.
So, from the healthcare and digital space, if we talk about UAE as a space for startups, where startups come, thrive, and the ecosystem building up, what is your take on startups? Why UAE is a place for them to be?
Look, from what I understand, you have almost 3 billion people can be connected from UAE in a matter of 6 hours across the world. So strategically, it's very well located, an amazing location. We have the investment, we have the investors who are also, very well positioned here. They are people who are really keen in the leadership team to make this the Silicon Valley of the East.
Yes.
That's something which is very empowering. I remember, if I just was to go back in time, I think last year or about 18 months ago, I had 400 IIM alumni in UAE. Now I have 1,000. So the talent is coming here because of the policies. The golden visa, how they're encouraging more talent to come in is amazing. And I think we need to nurture that. We need to create an environment that is conducive to the growth of startups. We need to have, obviously much more flexible policies, which is already being provided to a large extent. So therefore, I think it is actually laying the foundation to really create an amazing, center point of innovation, in this region. And UAE, the way it is a friend to virtually every other country in this region, it's very strategically placed to really ride the waves and obviously, kind of help the startups in achieving their ambitions as they go forward.
So not just geographically strategic, but in terms of the policies and the entire ecosystem as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely.
So from opportunities, if we talk about challenges in the healthcare, again going back to the subject, in healthcare, particularly when we talk about insurance, that's an important aspect of it. How do you see the challenges in the tech domain, that space?
I think they have somewhat been more resistant to embrace change, whether it's insurtech or health tech. In some sense, if you look at it, again, part of the reason is also because health tech and healthcare insurance or healthcare itself has been driven by doctors. It's now currently sick care, in some sense, and therefore it's not healthcare, it's more sick care. And doctors have been forced to use technology at a much more rapid pace. For me, I classify them into, in some ways, digital illiterates or digital, let's say, I would say probably, maybe a little bit more of digitally, mature people. But you are now seeing the digital natives coming to the fore. You're now looking at many of those new breed of doctors who love technology. And you need that understanding because your consumer is today very confident, very conversant with the iPads and the mobile phones and all of that. So you have to also embrace change. I remember before COVID, I was, as Max Hospital CIO and Evercare Group CTO, we were trying to basically get doctors to use telemedicine, telehealth. And I was fighting hard. I could not get too many doctors. I had 3,000 doctors in Max. I could not get them to embrace telemedicine. They were okay to travel 4 hours one way to, let's say, Moradabad from Delhi, and then come back 4 hours without wanting to basically use this teleconsult, which was so convenient. After COVID, I saw the same doctors running after me saying, can I come on to the telemedicine platform? So in some ways, COVID has been a great leveler. It's been a great, in some ways, transformer. We have actually always been advocating, let's marry this. Let's make it easy for the doctors. So in some sense, they also now have started realizing it. And healthcare is now poised for a big leap. If we can put together a good, simple, easy to use technology with the right process and make it available to the doctors, it's absolutely wonderful. And insurance also, in some sense, today is realizing there is a lot more value in prevention. We should not only just be rejecting claims from healthcare institutions, they should be trying to avoid claims. Yes. Again, technology can help. So I think it's now really speaking at the cusp of a new revolution. We need like-minded people and organizations to come together to help transform healthcare delivery for the consumer.
You mentioned COVID. Right from reluctance to embrace technology to factors which is beyond human control, like COVID, like the war happening, how do you think all this has impacting the current investment landscape of in this ecosystem, particularly healthcare?
I think I'll be honest, there has been impact on the investment climate. People have been a little bit more kind of, I would say, circumspect, and for the right reasons. I think there was a bit of a bubble happening, a year ago. So people are being more prudent in investing, and the startups that basically have both the style and the substance will win out. They need to have substance. They need to have really good, solid business plans. It's not only about top line; it is about balancing top line with bottom line. They have to start looking at the details of execution, and that to me is important because you will be able to weed out the ones that really will survive in this environment. That's great for everybody. It's great for the investor community. It's great for the economy. Great for the startup themselves. So you will have more serious players coming through. I'm actually very happy that now we are able to, in a way, spend more time in looking at the bottom line. People are reviewing what is the numbers. They are getting a lot more kind of practical about the actual substance of a startup. And I think the great thing is we have, in some sense, platforms like Startup Middle East also playing their part in terms of weeding out and filtering what are the right kind of startups to be encouraged and bringing them in front of investors, which is very, very encouraging. Because if you're able to put all this together, I think there is a lot of value to be had for the investors. As I told you, startups are the future. We need a lot of alignment in our goals, and the consumer is demanding it. So if you're able to do this together, I think it's amazing value for everybody.